As with many of you, I enjoy watching true crime on YouTube. I was watching one the other day, and it's typical of what happens. This one was in the UK, and it was a man called Leon Amos. In the past, he got 8 years for rape, and when he was set free, he got caught again raping. Attempted rape, and he got 5 years for attempted rape. And they set him free again. Can you imagine setting someone free a second time? And this time, not only did he rape a 20-year-old girl, but he killed her, murdered her in Watford. And this sort of thing happens all the time, where people have been caught for a sexual crime, normally rape or attempted rape, or attempted kidnap. I mean, what do they think is going to happen if someone kidnaps someone or attempts to kidnap someone? They're going to end up raping them, and then they want to get rid of the evidence, so they're going to kill the person. These people should be treated as serial killers, because that's what they would do if they were allowed to be set free, which they are often. Can you imagine? The first time he got 8 years. I don't know if if it was the UK, he probably didn't do 8 years. He probably done something like 5 or 6, maybe even less. And then he got the 5 years, so he done 3 years 4 months again, maybe even less. Now he's got the 20 years. I don't know I can't remember if the judge said he had to do 20 years before they was going to consider him for parole. But quite often these people still get out. So even if he has to do 20 years, he will come out. And don't think he's going to be a good boy once he's out. The funny thing is, all these terrible people, what we read about, who do these sexual crimes, are normally very, very good in prison. But just because they're good in prison doesn't mean to say they're going to be good outside. And there's a certain thing that people often say, and I see it all the time in these murder cases, especially the mother or the father. They say, "Look me in the eye and tell me then." As if they can't lie by looking a person in the eye. This is nonsense. I lie all the time and I look people in the eye. It's easy. My name is Mary. Look, I'm looking you in the eye. That was a lie, by the way. It's not Mary at all. But can you see how easy it is? We get hung up on these ridiculous things. We repeat nonsense, what other people say. And that's what's happening with law, of course. Instead of realising at the very beginning someone is a danger, especially when they start torturing, animals, that person should be locked up forever. Personally, I would like to see them killed, hung, electrocuted, anything you like, because we can't allow that person to wander around in society. They will kill. And just a reminder, if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Thank you. And this man, even though he's been done for 3 crimes, he's probably done many more. He just hasn't been caught. All of them are dangerous. Now, we have the Dangerous Dog Act. And if a dog just bites a little bit and gets a little bit of blood, do you know they would put that dog to death? I don't think that's right. That's wrong. I mean, a lot of dogs are scared of humans. And that's another one of my annoyances. We go up and just put our hand out to touch the dog as if they're a toy or something. I mean, if I tried to do that to a girl in the street to touch her, I'd soon get arrested. I might get away with it once or twice, but the third time they would arrest me. And yet we believe that we can do that to other creatures. We can't. We should teach all our children, I haven't got any unfortunately, deliberately so, we should teach all our children not to just go up and touch an animal. What you've got to do is go up, not run up, walk up slowly, and even make yourself known by saying hello, and then you let them sniff your hand. But don't go for the head, because when an attacker attacks, they go for the neck. So they go over the head to grab the neck. So yeah, that's an attack sign. We've got to teach children not to do that, because children could end up getting bitten. It's not a big deal to get bitten. I mean, this poor girl that I've just been reading about, well, not reading about, watching on YouTube again. These 4 fellas, young fellas, 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds, they are fellas, young men, they're not children anymore. They kicked her and her boyfriend, well, she was kicked to death. The boyfriend is terrified since then. But they was jumping on her head and everything and kicking her in the face. Can you imagine kicking a beautiful 20-year-old girl just because they were goths? That's just a fashion, goths. You know, people who dress in goths as goths are normally non-violent. They just love the music. I mean, look at Cure. I love Cure. I still do, in fact. They're goths. They're not violent. But anyway, getting back to this, these poor goth, the goth girl and the goth boy. They were just walking along in the park, and these 4 thugs, teenage thugs, I think they were 15 and 16-year-olds, but as soon as I saw the picture of them, I could see that they were psychopaths. They jumped on the boy. The girl tried to protect the boy, and then they started beating her up, kicking her. Can you imagine? Kicking, and jumping on her head, not just once or twice. And when the mother went to see her in hospital, she was still alive, but she was brain dead. They didn't realise brain dead. And when they went to see her, her face was all swollen up, and she didn't look like a girl or a boy. They couldn't tell. The emergency crew didn't know who was a boy and who was a girl, if there was a girl there. They were so badly damaged by these thugs. And one got life. I think he has to do 21 years, not enough really. Psychopath. When he gets out, he's going to do things like that again, you can be sure. And this isn't the first time they've done something like this. You can be certain that they've done many other terrible things to people, innocent people, maybe your child. These things don't just happen like that from nowhere. And one of them got 16 years life sentence, and the others got 5 and 4 years, I think. All of them should have been given a life sentence and 30 years minimum. Because when they get out, they'll be, let's say, 30, 40, they'd be 46, 45, 46 years of age. And hopefully they'll be so mature and they think, oh, forget it, you know, I'm not going to do any more. And they're quieting down, because a lot of thugs do, they quieten down at that age. But that's that age between puberty at the age of 13 to 25 is terribly, terribly toxic. It's a violent age. If you've got any violence, it's going to come out then. Whereas later on, you tend to learn to control yourself. People pick up these nonsense things and they run with it all the time as if it's the truth. Start to think about the things you say and think the things you think about. You've got to understand that behind the way people behave, especially in England, it's the Christians, the religious, that have forced all these laws on us. And you've taken these laws over time to be yours. And I've said it in other videos that if you do something, if you practice something more and more, you either get better at what you're doing, whether it's good or bad. So you get better at being bad or get better at being good. And in this situation, these laws coming from feelings rather than reason and thought are meaningless, really. They're terrible laws, especially the sex laws. I mean, every time if I pay for sex, I'm breaking the law. That's what the Christians say. They don't like me having sex outside of marriage. And they say if you get married, you can only marry once, you've got to stay with that person for life. What nonsense. You know, I've been with girlfriends maybe a day, an hour, weeks, months. Whenever we got fed up with each other, or I'll get fed up with her or she gets fed up with me, we break up. But if all of you think that sex is dirty and disgusting, that is coming from your religious background, that you don't realise you're religious, but that's where it's coming from, the religious people. They don't mind the vivisection, the factory farming, the slaughterhouses. That's okay to them, there's no problem. But sex outside of marriage, that's dirty and disgusting. And you're going to go to hell because of it. That's what they say. I'm not joking, I mix with these people. Well, I did in the past, not long ago in fact. And I argued and tried to show them the logic and the ridiculousness of what they were saying, and they never did agree with me. Especially that fellow Damien, I'll never forget him. Such a nice fellow, but a really evil person, really. He didn't give a damn about the animals. He said, it doesn't matter about their suffering. No wonder our world is so, I won't say corrupt, but it's so wrong. I mean, to let people who are violent, with violent tendencies out. And the trouble with our present laws, and that's throughout the world, you've got to actually commit the murder before they can arrest you and give you life imprisonment. Whereas, from my point of view, if you're torturing some animal as a child, you should be locked up straight away before you can go any further. From the very beginning, lock them up forever. Personally, though, as I said in the past, I'd rather see these people just die, be put to death. Electrocute them would be nice. The walk to the electric chair and the shaving of the head, etc. That would be good. I mean, these people are evil people we're talking about. And they don't mind others suffering. But a lot of these people, when they do eventually get caught, they've got dozens of victims behind them, and they don't tell you about all the victims. They only tell you about the ones that the police find out about normally. Very few of them tell about all the victims. And it could go into 50, 60. There's one fellow, well over 100 victims he had. Only till they get caught, then they're stopped. But what we do these days is, if you kill someone, quite often you're set free to kill again, to rape again. We've got to, as soon as they attempt to kidnap, we've got to lock them up for life or kill them off. I can't see why we have to keep these people alive in prison, because they can escape, and it costs the public money to keep them in prisons. And prisons don't make them any better. And the reason why we put them in prisons is because of the Christians. They say it's wrong, it's evil to kill humans, because humans are special. Well, these are especially bad. Well, I've spoken enough now. I'm sure you've had enough of me.